go into your team rooms. I know some of you have completed your assignments already, so kudos to you. And you can go in the team rooms to finalize the presentation and do your recording. What I won't do today after I send you to your rooms, I won't come back because you might be recording and I won't interrupt. So I'll give you a time to return to the main room. We'll wrap things up. We'll talk about the individual assignment and then we'll close the class out. So once you go to your rooms, I won't come in and check you out. So before we go,
Patricia.
Yeah.
But as you know that I will be leaving in 2 hours from now. So usually I do not catch the rest of the lecture. Or okay, never mind. I will listen to what you will say after that. Don't worry. No
approve. Let's see what's going on here. Give me a second. So are there any questions about last week's lecture, the course in general? Any takeaways? Yes. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that any exceptions will be for the late assignments will be seen as case by case. Unfortunately, last week assignment, I was not able to complete it, the written assignment, as you know, it is Ramadan time and it was a very busy week in my work. So can I do last week and this week assignment together?
Send me a WhatsApp message, please, about that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think I'm able to get into Teams. Any other questions? Do you guys have any other questions to ask? Any questions, comments about the class? And I'm stalling for time because I am, let's see, it's gonna let me in? Nope. Okay. Plan B. Not sure what's going on with Teams the last couple of weeks. Could someone please bring up the slide deck? I can lecture through that and share your screen. Can someone volunteer to do that, please? And I'm not sure if someone volunteered or not. Let me see what the chat says. Is someone doing that? Yes, no?
My internet connection is not stable, so I'm afraid that if I will start presentation, it might be interrupted.
Can someone else who has the stable connection?
Dr. P, is the problem in presenting the slides?
Yes, I'm not able to get into Teams on my computer. So someone can.
Okay.
Yeah, I can show it in another computer, but then it won't be a part of Teams. So I just need someone to bring it up, and then I'll I'll go through it while you're sharing it. And I apologize for that. I'm not sure why my computer, it might be time for a new one. It's just very slow. However, we always have a plan B and a plan C.
I have a suggestion. Your Excellency can log into Microsoft 365 with your university mail, and then you can share the screen from the browser. And I think that can solve the problem instead of using the application.
Right. I need to share the slides though, which are on my computer.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't support, but I'm joining from the phone, so
Okay.
I'm really sorry.
All right. Let's think about how we're going to do this then. Let me think about this for a second.
I shared it in the. I shared the link in the chat.
All right, let's see. The link to the slides. Okay. Let's see if I can share it on my phone. So I got it open. It says it can't open file. Okay. Okay, it's not able to open it on my phone. Let me try this. Computer here. All right, today's the 16th. I'm joining. Okay. All right. This is my work computer. All right. So let's see. Rocking and rolling. Let's get the slide. Let's see if I can open up the slides from here. Okay. All righty. Go over here. Okay. And let me share my screen. Alrighty. Give me a thumbs up if you're able to see the slide deck.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect. All right. Sorry for the delay. Let's see what my computer over here is still thinking. Okay. So let's talk about franchising and purchasing an existing business. So last week we talked about how to prepare your business for if you want to sell it. And we talked about that some people buy a business and grow it just to sell it, or you might become disinterested in the business after a while, or there might be personality clashes because usually when you start a business, sometimes there is it involves family and family issues that are going on that affect the business and affect your customers and so forth, and you don't want that to happen. So the best case scenario is to sell the business. So we're going to talk about how to franchise, which is different from just selling a business outright. When you franchise it, you have a name brand, if you will, that you have the support of that bigger corporation. You have the brand recognition. So you have the marketing. So a lot of boxes are checked with a franchise. So you're buying something that's viable, as opposed to rescuing a business or trying to make a business grow in a market that might be slow and so forth. So a lot of people say it's easier to just buy a franchise because it's kind of like a win-win situation. So let's talk about the elements of franchising, buying a franchise, and buying an existing business. So in the franchise situation, you have three components. You have the franchisor, the franchisee, and the franchise agreement. So the franchisor is the individual or the organization that sells to the franchisee. So there are lots of businesses, and I've seen them, a lot more businesses are selling as franchises, from a small type of business to well-known brands. So some of the well-known brands like Pizza Hut, McDonald's,
Starbucks.
What's that?
Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks, and lots more. If you can think of it, just shout it out or put one. Just put one in the chat, if you will. So the franchisee then is the person that buys the franchise from the franchisor. What I've seen over the past few years, a lot of younger people, the people that are younger are more entrepreneurial minded than, I guess, my generation, the generation before, and even our parents. I'll talk about my parents because I think I'm older than all you guys here. Their status quo was, working for a company till you retire. Those days are over. The talent landscape has expanded. We have a gig economy going on. We've got global talent workforce. We've got a lot of different things that's not business as usual. And a lot of people had time to take a pause during the pandemic and decide that, let me just pursue my dream. Why am I just working and punching a clock? And we see a lot of that coming out of that reboot that we had in 2020 and 2021. So franchisee, you buy the franchise from the franchisor. And then there's an agreement, obviously, because one of the things that's very important to the franchisor is to maintain the brand. And we talked about that. There's brand recognition. We talk about competitive advantage, strategic advantage, that you want to keep that in place. So you don't want the person to buy the business and then personalize it, because in that case, you would start your own business. They want it to be business as usual. You're continuing that brand. So there's an agreement. There are clauses in terms of where you buy your supplies from, how you display marketing material, fees that are associated with the franchise that you purchase. So franchise success is dependent of two components: hard work by the franchisee and the value added and support by the franchisor, right? So you want to maximize profits. That's why you would buy a franchise, and that's why they would sell it to you, because the franchisor is going to go through a process of evaluation. We'll see that later, to make sure that you're the right fit, that you're going to carry on the business in the way that the franchisor desires it to be. So you can make money as a franchisor in a variety of ways. You can sell the franchise. So I'm going to sell the Starbucks to you for, let's say, $250,000 US. But I'm also going to sell supplies to you because we want to make sure that when you make the coffee and the sandwiches, and it's the same. So if I go to a Starbucks in Washington State, I'll get the same experience as in Washington, D.C., as in France, as in Italy, as in the Ukraine. So we want to make sure that the supplies are the same across the board. And the franchisor gets a percentage of your sale. So all that money doesn't come to you. And then their company specific training. So they want to maintain their brand. So they're going to train you, your staff, on how to run the franchise business. So Dunkin' Donuts is another franchise. Do you guys have Dunkin' Donuts where you live? Anyone have a Dunkin' Donuts? No? Oh, that's that. You're in Canada, right? So if you don't have one, don't get one. It's just a bunch of sugar, really. I know, I think it was Subway. I forget what country it was. They banned Subway because they wanted Subway to call their bread candy because it's had so much sweet in it than regular bread. They said you could sell Subway in this country, but you got to call that bread candy. So Dunkin' Donuts, coffee and donuts. A lot of people, they have their coffee in the morning before they go to work. So they there's a drive-through. You go into work, you grab a coffee, grab a donut, junk. It's not good coffee, and I shouldn't be slamming them on video, but the coffee is not gourmet coffee, if you will. It's just something to keep you caffeinated and awake. So they will allow you the freedom of business ownership, but they have built-in support. So question to you, I need you to come off your microphones or type in the chat. How might ownership for a franchise, how is that different from the traditional ownership, like the ownership that you guys are doing in your business plan presentation? How is that different? Besides what we talked about, that you got to maintain the brand, you can't go off brand. What are some differences that you see between being a franchise owner versus running a traditional business? Any differences that you see?
Yes,
I
the
think that
difference.
it's, yes, please.
Such as?
The difference for me here is you cannot decide by yourself.
Right. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes,
I
there
think
will be
about
less marketing campaign due to existing branding for the product itself. So I will not pay attention to huge marketing campaign for this one.
Okay. All right. Someone else was
Also
speaking.
franchise provide the procedures and the method of statement or the steps, while in the private working, we have to develop these procedures and we have to develop this the strategy or the method.
Yeah, you do. Anyone else before we move on?
And it costs too much to buy, to conclude franchise agreement. You need to have a lot of money in the beginning. So 0 point, it's not actually a small business. It's a medium or even large business, because the amount of investment, it's so huge that you cannot rely on some support in the beginning. However, I think the franchise agreement, it's from the one side, it gives some safety, because before you will get this agreement, the franchisor will understand, will this work in your territory, in your country, and is it worth to give this agreement to you? Because they will do some research instead of you and understand if there's some market, target market, which will buy these products. So
that is true. That is correct. I do want to reiterate too that we know these well-known franchises, but I've also seen people, for instance, that develop some kind of natural beauty care stuff where they make stuff at home using natural ingredients, and they franchise that as well. So it could be very small as well, and they go through the same process. Is that you got to keep the brand, if you will, and then when you go after franchising, if you go after these well-known brands, it's going to be very costly, as you said. But there are other smaller brands that you can go after, like mom and pop type of things, where they're thinking strategically. Let's just franchise this. Let's say, for example, you make really good baked products. You're a mom and pop store, and you have this location in some rural place. You might want to franchise it out so that it goes into the bigger markets. All right, let's talk about some issues with franchising. So the potential franchisee, that's the person that's purchasing the franchise, look at your interests and your skills to see if there's a fit. Just like we talked about when you were starting a business, to see, if you remember back 14 weeks ago, the personality test to see, you, for example, a people person where you enjoy client-facing type of interactions. Are you the kind of person that just wants to sit behind a computer? Or are you the kind of person that doesn't want to be, contained in four walls, but you want to be mobile and virtual? So you want to make sure that there's a fit before you consider that franchise. You also want to look at the industry that you're considering being a franchisee in, and look at how's the industry doing? Is it in an economic downturn? Is it on a spike? Is it seasonal? Is it more profitable in certain regions? And you want to see what the competition now, because we always want to be aware of our competition. We want to see what they're up to, what are they doing, what's new with them. You want to look at the competition as well to see, is it viable for you to purchase and run this franchise in view of the competition that's available. You want to look at the competitive strengths of the franchisees. Like, what are they competing in? What are their strengths? Is it let's go back to Dunkin' Donuts. Is it like you get your order in like 2 minutes? Is it that they can deliver to your office? Is it that they now have gourmet coffee from all over the world? What are their strengths? Okay, so it's got to be viable and sustainable. So you want to look for something that's a best match, and you want to examine the franchisor thoroughly. You want to look at everything, their financials. If it's a public company, obviously that information is public. You want to look at the ratings. We have all different types of ratings that customers can rate. We want to look at where they are location wise. You want to look at if it's a BAM franchise, you want to look at inside and see how the operations are and so forth. So you should ask specific questions. No franchise package is going to be the same. They're going to be different ones. There are going to be things that are hard from the franchisor, and then there are things that are negotiable. So make sure that you get your negotiables in there if you are part of that discussion. And again, as with anything in life, as adults, you do a cost benefit analysis to see, based on what this has cost, is the benefits going to accrue to something that's satisfactory for me. And sometimes with the franchisee, one of the things we mentioned about the difference is you're going to see a profit sooner than later because it's an established brand. People know about it. You don't have to sell. So you'll see a profit sooner than later, as opposed to your startup, where you may not see it until more later than sooner. So what should you consider when purchasing a franchise? What's included as opposed to what's extra? Because franchisors, as I mentioned before, will charge you for training, for marketing materials, for promotions, there's a lot of stuff that comes into it that may not be attractive. And I will say this, based on my experience, is that the extra stuff is what turns people off, where it's kind of like you gotta do this amount of training per month. You've got to make sure you buy from this particular supplier. I know in Jamaica, where I was born, KFC wanted to do a franchise in Jamaica, but they wanted to, I want to say it's Chick-fil-A. I don't think it's KFC because KFC is there. Chick-fil-A. They wanted to do a franchise in Jamaica. However, they wanted to supply the chickens, and there are chickens in Jamaica. So the deal was off because they didn't want to budge from that. And the Jamaican franchisee, they were saying, we want to use our own chicken because we have chicken there, and it'll be cheaper than shipping chicken from across the border or what have you. So that didn't go through. I'm not sure where they are today, but that was a blocker in terms of you have to get all your supplies from us. You want to look at franchisor and franchisee obligations. What are you obligated? For example, you're obligated to use their marketing materials. You're obligated to a fee, yearly fee or monthly fee or what have you. You're obligated to X% of the profits and so forth. And you also want to look at the steps. What are the steps? How long does it take? What's involved? How much is it going to cost you to obviously want to involve an attorney and a CPA or accountant if you're buying, a franchise. So you want to make sure you consider these steps. So in terms of support, what support is available for you as a franchisee? So there's no universal standard in terms of that. I mentioned that training that the franchisor can offer you. Maybe they'll have someone shadow you the first couple months or whatever, depends on the agreement of operations, to make sure things are aligned. And then the support is going to cost you. So that you're buying the franchise, but you're buying this extra stuff. That's what you got to consider. It's not free. So you want to look at the right mix of support and cost, and make sure that you look at your revenue and make sure that there's a balance, that you are making profit and you're able to stay afloat, and you're not just, in debt, because that's not a good fit if that's the case. So what is it that you're buying when you buy a franchise? Some of this I mentioned before. You're buying Dunkin' Donuts, let's use that as an example. You're buying an established name, brand of products and services. So in Atlanta, there is a restaurant called Houston's, and it's called Hillstone in other places. And what I've noticed is that, and they have several locations in Atlanta, whichever location I go to, the service is consistent, the food tastes the same, which is good. So they have maintained that consistency for their products and services. And their business model is what makes that possible. So they want to make sure that if you franchise it, that you're following the same business model as them, down to the ingredients. So if I buy a key lime pie from one location, it's going to taste the same as the one I buy in another country or someplace else. And then you operate under that name for a set period of time. So some franchisors will allow you to change your name, or it can say some derivative of your name and their name, like Patricia Anderson's Dunkin' Donuts, if you will. Car dealerships are another example of franchises that just came to me. So you can operate under their name for a certain amount of time, and then you can use your own name. That could be part of the agreement. Again, no set standard. It depends on the specific franchise where you get these types of agreements. You can franchise a single or multiple stores, and sometimes once you are successful in one store, then it opens up for you to have multiple stores. And then you want to have the right to have limited competition within a set radius. So if you're a Dunkin' Donuts, you want to make sure that there's not a what's another donut place? It's Dunkin' Donuts. I think 7-Eleven sells donuts. Starbucks sells donuts. It's another donut place. Anybody know of any other donut places? We're talking a lot about food today, and I know some of you are fasting, so I apologize for that. But you want to make sure that they're not, other places like right next to you, because then they're taking your customers from you. So you want to make sure that there's limited competition. That's why you got to study your industry, study the market. All right, franchisor supports. So let's look at what they offer. So operational systems and monitoring techniques. So they'll support you if you have a point of sales, any type of back office computer system. They'll support it. They also have monitoring where you have software systems that monitor your sales and dashboards that give you trends and what products sell the most and so forth and so on. Again, specificity is different across franchise. So don't expect the same thing from different franchises. So you should also evaluate the accounting support. That's the books. That's monitoring how or supporting how your sales and your expenses and so forth. Marketing support. What type of support are you going to offer in terms of we're having sales, or this is a special, or we're open extended hours. What type of support are you going to give us to market this information? Training, talked about that. Real estate services. So if you have a build out, because obviously if you have a BAM franchise, you are either purchasing an existing building. A lot of these buildings in Georgia, you can convert it from a bank to a donut place to whatever. Again, sometimes the franchisor has specific layouts that they want you to have, so you got to build up. So what type of real estate services are they going to provide, and other services as well? Let's talk about the relationship, that document, contract, whatever that binds you and the franchisor together. So the FDD is a franchise disclosure document. So it discloses, that's what it's called, disclosure. It discloses the terms of this agreement. So you have the following items. It has a franchisor, its predecessors, and affiliates. So the company, if it's a wholly owned subsidiary, if it's a corporation, it's a C Corp, it's S Corp, all that stuff is going to be in there. If it's affiliated with other companies, the company that I consult with, it's a branch of a major company. It's like they have 5 or 6 different companies. This is one arm, leg of that company. The business experience, any type of litigation. So if there's litigation, how is that going to be handled? For example, in the United States, people are very litigious. That means that people will sue you at the drop of a hat. And it doesn't have to be valid. It's just something that, sometimes it's very annoying, takes up your time because you got to deal with it. There's no merit to it, but they just want to, annoy you. So how is litigation going to be handled? What if there's bankruptcy? What the initial fee is? Any other fees involved? what the initial investment is, restriction and sources of products and services. We talked about that. So you can only sell, Dunkin' Donuts products. You can't, sell, jewelry in there, or you got mom's homemade apple pie that you want to sell in there. You're limited to that. What your obligations are, any kind of financing. Sometimes a franchisor will offer financing. So if it's $250,000, they'll finance it for you, where you pay monthly. What are they obligated to? Franchisor. What territory does the franchise cover? What trademarks are involved? Patents, copyrights, proprietary information. That means how can you use that that brand, that logo, that trademark? Obligation to participate in operations of the business, like will they or won't they operate or participate in the operations of the business? Restrictions on what you can sell, talked about that. How you can renew the franchise agreement, terminate it, transfer it, or dispute it. Public figures, the well-known the well-known franchisees like Dunkin' Donuts or Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, they have public figures that are well-known, so that those are disclosed in the document. Any kind of earnings that they claim, if they're saying that, we earn $1 billion a year globally, that's disclosed. Lists of outlets, where are all the Dunkin' Donuts, the financial statements, and the contracts involved, and receipts. So in order to cultivate success, you understand the new market, the location, the longevity of demand. So you want to understand the demand. Is the demand seasonal? Is it going to be only in the summer? Is it only in certain countries or a certain part of the country? You will. And what skills are needed to run this franchise? You also have gyms that have that franchise as well. We have Gold's Gym. We've got LA Fitness. We have can't think of others because I don't go to the gym. But they franchise all over the United States. So the gym business is another business that is very franchised. So let's look at the process. So if you want to purchase a franchise, you request an information packet from the franchisor that details the firm's operations, its business, the cost of and the cost of the franchise. This is just a preliminary step because it gets a lot more in depth, as you can imagine. So you do the short application, and then the franchisor will call you, and you have a phone interview or a Zoom interview to ensure that there's a potential match. And they might ask like really offbeat question. Interviewers like to do that, like not necessarily pertaining to the franchise, but just to see what kind of person you are, how you operate, how you think. Okay, and they kind of vet you, like a primarily preliminary vetting happens, and then they send the complete disclosure document to fill out. Okay, so once you fill that out, you begin negotiations. So the negotiation includes upfront capital, any kind of financing, and continuing fees. So there's room for that. If there isn't, that's also spelled out. So you want to understand what is hard and what is up for negotiation, because you always negotiate. You know that as professionals. You go into an organization, they offer you a salary, you negotiate. Always negotiate. All right. So if you're buying an existing business, now we're finished with the franchise aspect. If you're buying an existing business, which is not a franchise, you want to look for a business to purchase. Let's say you're in the market for buying a business. You want to look for a business to purchase. Develop a plan for the business. The business might be failing, slow. You might need to rebrand it. So you want to develop a plan for this business and negotiate a deal to acquire what you want, and then organize a process of change within the business. Usually when you buy an existing business, now you can personalize it. With the franchise, not so much, but with an existing business, you're buying it to make it better and to grow it. Okay. So how do you locate a business to purchase? They're business brokers that specialize in selling businesses. So you get that third party involved they know where the businesses are for sale, and they can guide you in that process. Other means, your attorney or an attorney, like a corporate attorney, if you will, CPA firms. If you frequent any business and you notice that, hey, this business could do a lot better if they do X, Y, Z, they're not really maximizing their opportunities. One thing I found out is that I know a lot of people go into the restaurant business, which is probably one of the hardest businesses that there is. And, someone might say to you, oh my gosh, your food is so good and so delicious, you should open a business. That's just part of it. There's a business part of the business that sometimes the chef or the cook doesn't understand. Even though the food is great, the business failed because of the marketing and the operations and so forth. So if you see a business that's not maximizing its opportunity, that's a potential business that you might want to buy. You can look at trade associations listings, this SBA, the Small Business Administration. I'll look for bankruptcies. A lot of businesses went bankrupt over the last few years because they weren't able to withstand the downturn in the economy because of COVID, and they didn't survive. So they filed bankruptcy. So look for those listings and resurrect those businesses. So a new plan of operation. This is something you should have together before you begin to negotiate, because that plan of operations is going to be something that's valuable in the negotiation. You're not just spitballing it like, yeah, I think we should do this and that, and the other. You actually have a plan that you can use and leverage for negotiations. Understand what you're offering and what the business is lacking is a good basis for negotiation, right? How you're going to add value to the business, okay? And now you're ready to negotiate the deal once you've developed the plan. Always have a plan. So how do you change? Because again, with the franchise, you're not able to change a lot, but with the business, you can change quite a bit, if not everything. So once you finish negotiations, each party is happy with the negotiations, contracts are signed. Here's what you should do with a new owner. Meet and discuss a transition with the current staff. And this might happen after the contracts are signed, but sometimes it could happen during the negotiations, where you want to know from the staff before you sign any contracts. You want to spend a lot of time being visible in the operation. One of the things I talk about in organizational change management is that the leader should be visible, right? Active and visible to the customers, followers, constituents, what have you. Because there's a transition happening, there's a change, and there's a transformation. That visibility and that engagement, it makes people more apt to want to change, transform, if you will. You want to make significant changes in one day. Don't wait, forever. If it's a significant change, you want to decide on that change in that day. For example, if you realize that the current staff is not going to cut it, you need to bring in new staff that's more experienced or what have you. Do it. A lot of times companies will do that. They will bring in different staff because you want a different type of culture in the organization, because obviously the previous culture wasn't making it work. So you bring in all new staff. You see that in politics. You see that in businesses. Implement new standards as soon as possible. So this is how we're going to do things. And sometimes if you have existing staff, they might resist. And we ask the former owners not to be there. It's like when you're selling a house and the owner is there, kind of like puts a monkey wrench in things. While the transition is taking place, stay away, old owner. Let the new owner become involved. And then make sure the customers and suppliers know that there's a change in ownership. Okay. So that is it for purchasing an existing business and earlier purchasing a franchise. So let's see if there are any questions about the lecture today. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Let's take our break. What we're going to do is, and let me ask you this, because you may not, well, you probably do. So you're doing two things when we come back. You're going to finalize your presentations, and you have until Saturday at 11:59 to do so. I'm giving you time in class to do it as well. So you're going to finalize the presentation, and then you're going to record your portion of the presentation. And when you record your portion, what I'd like you to do, if you haven't done so already, put your name in terms of the file name, your name and the part of the presentation you're doing. So for example, Patricia Anderson, marketing. Okay. So do that when you upload your video. The links are on the in Moodle for you to actually upload the your piece of the presentation. And don't forget to fill out the team evaluation as well. And I got to do a couple changes to it. I think somebody's on multiple teams, obviously only on one team. So I'll make that correction. So let's take a break. Let's come back at, what time is it? Let's come back at 11:15 a.m. and then we'll go from there. I'll reboot my computer. All right, guys, see you in a bit. All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm going to send you to your team rooms. A couple comments about the team projects. Number one, you only need to submit one presentation. So the presentation is going to have all the different components to it. And then individually, you will submit your recording. Let me go to Moodle so we can see what this looks like. I will share my screen. Okay. So we have here after week 14, which we're in. So for this week, you're going to complete the chapter 14 quiz and the chapter 14 individual assignment, which I'll look at in a minute. For your submission, you're going to submit one business plan presentation, just one. And then individually, you'll submit your version of the business plan. So again, your name and the section you're doing. So Patricia Anderson _ marketing. And then you're going to follow this URL to complete the team assessment. You're going to assess each team member, including yourself. This is 100% anonymous, so no one's going to see what you put in for yourself or others. I'm the only person that will see the assessment, and I will only see the assessment. I won't be able to see who did the assessment. So that's what you'll do there. Okay. Let's see. That's it for the team assignment. It is due. You can see the date, Saturday, the 22nd, 11:59. It should be PM. Let me change that. Glad I'm looking at it.
Oh, Professor, where can we submit our personal record presentation?
I'm sorry, please ask again.
Where can we submit our personal presentation with
Okay, let me go back and show it to you. So,
sorry.
So here, business plan video presentation.
Oh, okay. And so individual, we submit here individual, and the assignment we submit it by group.
The PowerPoint presentation is one because it's got all the pieces together.
Okay.
So it's going to be one presentation, and then you individually are going to submit your part of the presentation that you've recorded.
Okay.
Professor, I have already submitted.
Okay, that's fine. Did you submit it to this link? I see one.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So this is where you would submit the individual piece. Is that clear to everyone?
Okay. Clear on my side.
Okay, excellent. What was I gonna do next? Oh, I'm changing the date. Okay. Let's make sure it's got the right date on there.
Yes,
So this
please.
this says PM. The presentation says AM. It should be PM. So these have to be the final assignments. There's no exception. It must be submitted on time by that date. There will be absolutely no exceptions. So if I were you, I wouldn't wait for the last minute to do it. I would do it well ahead of time in case I'm running into any issues. And I think a question was asked earlier. I will put the presentation together as one video so that you can see each piece together. And once I get everybody's presentation in, I will do that. All right. Any other questions about the final assignment? Any questions before I move on? Okay. One more thing before I send you to your team room is to look at the individual assignment. And I'm hoping that you guys are well near conclusion of your assignment because we've had time in class to finish it. You've had time during the week if you so desire. So you should only be wrapping things up and maybe possible recording or re-recording at this point. But I feel confident that you'll all do great. All right, so let's see what we got for this week. So you're going to go to this website and put a plan together for purchasing a franchise. And for the industry, how many franchise opportunity exists? So what I would do with this part is for you to just choose an industry. Since we didn't do exercise 1. So choose an industry and talk about how many franchises or franchise opportunities exist. The third question is what resources exist to help you in your effort to acquire a franchise. So I would look at the resources either from your team project. You know, you've identified the resources in there. So I would look at those resources, see, can we leverage those resources to buy this franchise? Or if they don't exist within the resources in your team project, if you will, then what resources do you need to acquire the franchise? So that's the individual exercise for the week, the final one. Any questions about it before we go to our team rooms? Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So again, for the industry that you choose in, this is individual exercise that will be the assignment for each one of us. Are we going to discuss it inside our coming few minutes? So it is our individual assignment.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So
it's
for
an individual
industry,
assignment.
Great. So for the industry, you choose in exercise one. So we don't have exercise one of this chapter. Okay. So
that's why I said. That's why I said to either do the industry that you're in for your team assignment. So you can either use that industry or you can use any other industry.
Generally, any other industry.
Just choose an industry. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No big deal. Just choose an industry. Either the one that you have in your team assignment, whatever industry that is, you can use that one, or just choose one that you like or you're interested in.
That I want to have franchise for it.
Sure. Yeah. Make it individual.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Any other questions about the individual exercise? Any other questions? Everybody clear? Final one. Let's knock it out. So let's go ahead and go to your team rooms. We will resume here at, I'll give you an hour. We'll come back here at 12:30. So I'm going to let you go to your rooms. And some of you who have finished your assignment, kudos to you. If you want to hang out in your team rooms, you can. If you want to take off, you can as well. For those that are leaving after this, and I know some of you have to leave because of Ramadan and stuff, I just want to thank you for being great students during this 14 weeks. It's been a long 14 weeks, and I think we're all exhausted. I know I am. Working all week and then, teaching on my day off and you working on your days off as well. So it's been quite a lot. I'm going to take a break myself so I can have a proper weekend going forward. But I really appreciated the opportunity to meet each and every one of you. You guys are great. I really admire and respect what you're working with and what you're working against and the different things that are happening in your different societies and countries and so forth. And we are one people. And we've got to treat each other better. We're just not treating each other the way that we should. And hopefully you had a positive experience with a Jamaican professor, Jamaican and American. And I've learned quite a bit about your cultures, and I hope you've learned some good things about our culture over here. We're not perfect, but we do try to be better every day. So hopefully I'll see you in another class. I'm doing a workshop for transformational leadership and organizational change management. And it's a certification workshop. Some of you said you were interested. I would definitely suggest it. And I'm also going to add project management to it. So it's like a tripart. I call it the top model: transformational leadership, organizational change management, and project management. Those three things. Those three aspects of business are evergreen. Any industry you go in, there's going to be a component of leadership, of change, and of project management. So I want to put all that together and give you that as a model to look at. So I really appreciate you guys. I wish all of you the very best, professionally and personally. And I'll probably say that at the end. I'm saying it for those who are leaving. But we're going to resume. We're going to come back to this room at 12:30 to wrap things up and see if there are any final questions. So I am going to, or comments, I'm going to open up the team rooms. So see you back here at 12:30. Welcome back to the main room. While we're waiting for others to join us, some people left because they had finished their project. So I just wanted to come back here to see if there are any questions or comments from you before we close for the semester. Anybody have any questions or comments? Questions, comments, anyone? All right. If there are no questions or comments, again, make sure that your assignments are in by end of day Saturday, EST. And I'll be available in WhatsApp if you have any other questions. I enjoyed having you in class. I know you guys are going to do great things. So hopefully I will see you in another class in the future. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Hello, Dr. P.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Dr. Patricia?
Yes, Noreen.
Yes, because I just wanted to confirm, because the scheme we have followed for the upload of the project was different a bit, as we have recorded the presentation as a group. So it was too large to be uploaded on the
Yes,
Moodle.
I saw that.
So
Yeah.
we provided a link. I just wanted to confirm because I was very worried that it will be lost.
No, I did see that, and thank you for recording it as a group. I'm glad you guys found the time to come together. So yes, I have one less presentation to put together. It's one.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.